Gainesville City Commissioners have one major concern about Governor DeSantis' appointments to a newly formed authority board for Gainesville Regional Utilities. TV20's Ethan Badowski tells us why one commissioner says they were led astray.
My biggest frustration is how much the residents' voice has been taken out of this.
Commissioner Brian Eastman says he feels Gainesville residents have been burned by Governor Ron DeSantis' appointments to the newly established GRU Authority Board. The three appointees are CEO of HCA North Florida Hospital Eric Lawson, the CEO of Phalanx Defense Systems James Coates, and Robert Caro, who state officials say has more than 40 years of energy experience.
That's what you want. You need some people with some business sense, some management sense, and making decisions for the citizens of GRU.
I spoke with Commissioner Brian Eastman, and he told me that when it comes to the people who were appointed to the board, Governor Ron DeSantis did not hold up his end of the bargain.
I'm disappointed to see that none of the people that were appointed are residents of the city of Gainesville. I think the bill is very clear that only one should be outside of the city of Gainesville. There was numerous promises made to us by Representative Chuck Clemens that this would give a voice to the residents of the city of Gainesville still.
Representative Clemens' legislative aide claims the board can be comprised of people who live outside the city limits initially, but when the first board members' terms expire, the ratio of city to county residents must be adjusted. In a statement to TV20, Clemens acknowledges the confusion surrounding the implementation of the board, but said the board will, quote, put GRU ratepayers first. The city is suing the state, and the next step is for a judge to rule on requests for summary judgment from both sides. In Gainesville, Ethan Badowski, TV20 News.